Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Omar Khalid. But today is the 25th of June 2024 and these are the stories that we will be highlighting in the course of the show. We'll begin with the Azm-i-Istehkam vision that has been invigorated within Pakistan, in fact, to take care of the national and of course invigorate and symbolizing also the national resolve to eradicate extremism and terrorism from Pakistan. Of course, we all know what has been happening in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan in the last few weeks and the last few months, and of this vision of Azm-i-Istehkam is but a step in the right direction. The Prime Minister's office also released a statement yesterday that detailed the different aspects of this Azm-i-Istehkam vision and how important it was for all the stakeholders to be on one page when it came to that, and how the government was going to move forward as far as Azm-i-Istehkam is concerned. Different aspects of this vision Azm-i-Istehkam will be discussed in our first segment. Our second story concerns the measures that will be taken to curb power theft in the country. Now, according to the Federal Minister for Energy, the estimate of electricity theft has reached rupees 600 billion annually, and despite the availability of 6,000 megawatts of surplus electricity in the country yesterday, it had not been provided to the consumers, because if this had been done, there would have been an additional loss of 2.5 billion rupees. What are the measures that need to be taken, should be taken to curb pilferage and theft? This will be our second segment. Then we'll be talking about China and the Chinese lunar mission that is expected to return today. A Chinese probe carrying samples from the far side of the moon is expected to return to Earth today, capping a technically complex 53-day mission heralded as a world first. It comes bearing rocks and soils from the far side of the moon that faces away from the Earth, which is a poorly understood region that scientists say holds great research promise. Then we are going to talk about WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who has been released Monday and has left for the United States from Britain. This has been said by WikiLeaks and has been confirmed by other news agencies, as well as he has reached a landmark plea deal with the US authorities that has brought an end to his years-long legal drama. Finally, we'll be talking about a new device that hopes to alleviate the complex effects of epilepsy that many patients have been dealing with. A teenage boy with epilepsy has become the first child in the UK to have a device fitted into his brain, and this has been seen as a huge reduction in his life-threatening seizures. He has had a neurostimulator fitted into his brain last October and has since had an 80% reduction in the number of seizures each day that he used to have. This is the lineup for today. Let's begin with our first segment, and that concerns Azm-i-Istehkam, this vision that the government has put forward, and of course what are the different modalities of this vision Azm-i-Istehkam. We have with us in the studios Naveed Aman Khan Sahab. He's a senior analyst. Naveed Sahab, thank you very much to have joined us. This recently announced vision for enduring stability, which is known as Azm-i-Istehkam, is a step in the right direction, but of late we have seen certain misunderstandings that have cropped up among certain segments of the society, and comparing it to earlier kinetic operations like Azm or Najat and other operations. There is a certain difference between the vision Azm-i-Istehkam and those kinetic operations that have been that have been held in Pakistan before that is Azm, Najat and other operations as well. This was also stated in a Prime Minister's office statement that came out yesterday. This statement, although it's quite brief, does it clear the apprehensions that some segments of the society have as far as the Azm-i-Istehkam vision is concerned?
Khalid, in fact, there is no difference between that those operations and in this operation. Those were also in good faith of the country and the nation, and this one is also in good faith of the country and the nation.
But there's a difference between the two, nevertheless, between the vision Azm-i-Istehkam and between the previous operations like Azm or Najat.
It's okay, but you know the main difference which the opposition parties or some segment of the society are trying to create, create fuss is that they don't want to stand with those powers and authorities which are struggling to eliminate terrorism in the country. There's the armed forces, the government of Pakistan, both are struggling to crush terrorism either in KPK or in Balochistan or even elsewhere in the country. I mean, it is our prime responsibility to stand with the armed forces and the government. But it should be a national consensus, on terrorism, on the elimination of terrorism. I don't think that this service of opposition parties to stand with the terrorists or TTP or BLA will serve any purpose of the society or the country. I don't think it will be a good decision. I think all the political parties, all the institutions, the politicians should join hands and should establish a consensus on the elimination of terrorism wherever it is damaging the country and the nation and the armed forces.
Naveed Sahab, also Azm-i-Istehkam, as per the Prime Minister's office statement, says that it is a multi-domain, multi-agency, entire system, national vision for enduring stability. In Pakistan, it is meant to reinvigorate and re-energize the ongoing implementation of the revised National Action Plan, which of course was initiated in 2014, if you remember well, after the national consensus across the political spectrum. How important do you feel is this vision, the implementation of this vision in these times to implement stability in Pakistan?
It's very important. This vision is very clear and it should have started long before. We have gone for many other operations in the past, but and we thought that we are successful in elimination of the terrorist elements in the country. But I think we should not have suspended those operations sooner. Now we are going in another operation in KPK and in Balochistan in particular. I think it is a long war. We will have to crush even the last present terrorist in the country, and we will have to dismantle that perpetrators' nexus or that the plan which they have been carrying on in the country since long. Unless we find that last terrorist finished in the country, we should not abandon it.
Naveed Sahab, also this operation Azm-i-Istehkam is not only aimed at reinvigorating the whole patriotism and to get rid of all such elements from the country that are trying to destabilize Pakistan. It is also aimed at energizing the already in place intelligence-based kinetic operations to root out the nebulous and the shadowy presence of remnants of terrorism, their facilitation and the rooting out of violent extremism in the country to ensure a secure environment in Pakistan for economic development and prosperity. And I think that's very important, to have a secure environment in order to have to move towards economic prosperity in Pakistan. And the statement talks about political, diplomatic, legal and information prongs apart from the already continuing operations by all the law enforcement agencies. How crucial is the incorporation of all these prongs, and by these prongs I mean political, diplomatic, legal and information, to make the outcome more successful?
Omar, Khalid, in fact, we want to move ahead on CPEC and industrial development or agricultural development or the development on the whole of the country. For this, we will have to have political stability as well as law and order situation should be in control. It's the demand or need of our nation or our government or armed forces and the need of our companions or our friend countries like China or the other neighboring countries also are asking for it. We need to enforce this law and order situation, orders of elimination of the terrorists in the country, so that the investors, foreign investors, should be having the decision to come in Pakistan and invest, invest technology or go for massive development in the country. And I think the opposition parties like the PTI or Sunni Ittihad Council, they are opposing this decision. It means that they are with those terrorists or TTP or those elements which are damaging armed forces or the country.
All right.
I don't think it is a wise decision. Those who are opposing armed forces politically are in the assemblies, and they are the PTI people, and those who are attacking on the armed forces are TTP and BLA, and they are doing their terrorist activities in those provinces in KPK and Balochistan. So I think this is annexous, and I don't think it will be a very good or wise decision of the political parties to show solidarity or show strength to those
but
elements.
I think, Naveed Sahab, there needs to be some kind of political consensus as well, and all parties need to be taken on board, and need to be they need to understand the importance of a vision such as the Azm-i-Istehkam and what importance it has in the current geo-economic or geo-strategic environment. We've also been joined by Brigadier retired Shahid Jagir Saab. Thank you very much, Brigadier Saab, to have joined us. Today in a cabinet meeting, the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif takes the cabinet members into confidence regarding the misunderstandings and speculations that are surrounding the vision Azm-i-Istehkam. He says Azm-i-Istehkam is a multifaceted, coordinated national vision of the various security agencies and the entire state system. He also says that instead of a new and systematic armed action, operations based on the already ongoing intelligence need to be intensified. And he also talks about the objective of the operation, which is to decisively root out the remnants of terrorism, criminal and terrorist nexuses and violent extremism in the country. What's your comment on these statements that the Prime Minister made today in the cabinet meeting?
Thank you very much for the comments. You see, the war on terror which we have been going through, in which we launched first the Azm, then Rahe-Nijat, Raddul Fasad, and now Azm-i-Istehkam. These are the logical sequence of conducting the counterinsurgency operations and anti-terrorism operations in any affected place or country. Now, in Azm, we launched the full-fledged kinetic operation. Rahe-Nijat, we swept it out, all that areas and cleaned them. Raddul Fasad, we created a space for them to rehabilitate and intelligence-based operations. But unfortunately, in the terrorism, which is the most common form of warfare, especially between the nuclear countries, the last prong, which is now being set to go, that is Azm-i-Istiqlal, was long desired, because our national action plan, which was planned after the deadliest incident of Peshawar APS, could not materialize, and it could not give out the dividends which we required. And we have seen in the recent past that 1,000 individuals, including the security people and others, have been killed in over 722 terrorist actions. So now it means that the terrorists have, which is the last phase of the terrorism, is that they have created a sleeping cell. Whenever there is a target and an order is given to them, they wake up and they go and hit the target. So it is very important, very timely rather, and second is the most desired for the Pakistan stability at this particular moment. Then it is also connected with the development things which are going on in Pakistan in different parts of the country. You see, at the moment, we see these incidents of terrorism in Gilgit-Baltistan, and you see in the Kacha area we have the dacoits. So you can't, in a civilized society, you can't let it happen like that. So this is a very, very important decision which has been taken by the political and the military hierarchy. And it must go on with the full speed and with all the dedications of all segments that are part of the operation Azm-i-Istehkam. We see that since the last 2 days, there is a lot of cribbing going on that this operation will be dislocate the people. No, this will be an advanced stage of intelligence-based operations, where previously the intelligence-based operations were mostly focused on the KPK, Balochistan, some part was in Punjab also, Sindh also. But now we have to flush out the complete country out of this. So this is not going to be like Zarb-e-Azb or Rah-e-Nijat. It would be rather an intelligence-based operation throughout the country. Now, in this, there are different segments which will play a very important role in this. One is obviously the military intelligence agencies, and the most important and the hardest part are going to be faced by the police, because they are the one on the ground. They are the one who are going to give the maximum information about the presence of these people in the garb of a common man going around. And also, I would say that the common man living in Pakistan must participate in that. So this is going to be very important at this time. And also the judiciary. We have seen previously that the terrorists which were apprehended after a lot of effort, putting the stakes of the life of our armed forces and civil armed forces, have been released. So the hardest part of this would be the judiciary, that we have to amend the laws. We have to flush out all the weapons, automatic weapons, which are being carried in huge number, even in Islamabad, with everyone, having two double cabins with 10 people sitting on that, having lot of weapons with them. So we have to, these are the few things which needs to be addressed. Then the intelligence cooperation, which is very important in the core of all this operation. The civil, military, the intelligence agencies have to cooperate. And in that, the political people, they should not.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brigadier Shahid Jagir Sahab, to have joined us. Yes, you wanted to add something to that?
It is very important to have coordination and collaboration among all the intelligence agencies and all the institutions which are combating terrorism in the country. So once you have very collaborated or confidence established cooperation, I think it will be very easy for the for the enforcement agencies or for the armed forces to crush the terrorists in the country. And we should be, all the political parties or all the segment of the society should stand with the government or with the with our armed forces to show that strength which some political parties are showing to the terrorists. This should not be extended cooperation towards terrorists, it should be extended cooperation towards the armed forces.
All right, thank you very much, Naveed Aman Khan Saab, senior analyst, who have joined us as well in the studios to discuss this very important operation Azm-i-Istehkam that of course is pertinent under the current geo-economic or geostrategic situation, not only to strengthen Pakistan from the inside out, but also give that image that Pakistan is a country where any foreign investor can come and invest without fear of being apprehended in any way whatsoever by such nefarious elements.
We can only make CPEC successful if we control terrorism in the country.
I totally agree with you on that. Thank you very much, Naveed Aman Khan Sahab, to have joined us. Let's come to our second story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns measures to curb power theft. Now, an uninterrupted supply of electricity is essential to keep the system of life running in today's time, and we know how important electricity is, whether it be in the summers for our fans or for other lights and other necessities in our houses, in our offices, in our media institutions or other organizations. But as far as the latest statement of the Federal Minister for Energy, Awais Laghari, is concerned, he says the estimate of electricity theft has reached rupees 600 billion annually, and despite the availability of around 6,000 megawatts of surplus electricity in the country, yesterday it was not provided to the consumers, because had this been done, there would have been an additional loss of 2.5 billion rupees, because the feeders that needed electricity are on coils and illegal transformers, and if they are given electricity, the burden falls on the legitimate consumers with the meters. To discuss all of these aspects and more, we've been joined in the studios by Dr. Khalid Waleed. He's an energy expert. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, to have joined us. Dr. Khalid, uninterrupted supply of electricity is essential to keep the system of life running in today's time. But when you hear the statement by our Federal Minister for Energy, when he talks about the electricity theft that has reached around 600 billion rupees annually, this is not a small figure. This is a humongous figure. And then the fact that we have a surplus electricity available, but we cannot put it in the system, because if we do, then it is the pilferers who are going to benefit the most out of it. Why can't needful measures be implemented? What are the impediments for the measures to be properly implemented in order to curb not only the theft, the pilferage, but also to stop this once and for all?
Well, you are very right that this is a dilemma for Pakistan. At one hand, if we do not provide electricity to the citizen, to the consumers, there is a political cost associated with it, economic cost associated with it, social cost associated with it.
Of course.
And on the other hand, if we provide electricity to them, then there is economic consequences, as you rightly mentioned, that it will put burden on those who pay bill regularly. What are different hurdles, bottlenecks in terms of initiating this distribution reforms in Pakistan? Well, first is the financial one, that they requires huge investment in terms of infrastructure investment.
Okay.
We need to look into AMIs, the advanced metering systems. We need to look into automation, digitization. We need to sort of have this state-of-the-art transformer distribution systems. So this is not cheap, not economical for Pakistan, given that there are millions of consumers in Pakistan. So one challenge is that lack of financing, lack of investments. Second challenge is that because consumers are very large, this sort of advancements and this sort of initiatives, they will take time. We need to give time to, and third is the governance structure of distribution companies. That is not up to the mark. We need to sort of introduce or some sort of structural reforms at the distribution sector, so that there is more corporate governance going on, there is more performance-based incentives associated with at distribution level. So there are three challenges basically: financial, time constraints, and lastly the governance challenges.
All right. Now, the Minister for Energy also says that when the line man goes to remove kundas, as we say in very layman terms, so that the power pilferage can be reduced or removed, a crowd gathers and says, do not remove this, so that they can continue to illegally obtain electricity. there are also certain segments of our society that encourage people to install this instead of a meter because of whichever reasons. Now, as per the estimates of our energy minister, 137 billion rupees are being stolen in PESCO and tribal areas, 51 billion in Sindh, 133 billion in Punjab, 100 billion in Balochistan, 65 billion in Peshawar, Mardan, Dera Ismail Khan, Naushera and Charsadda annually. These are huge amounts. Now, there was a certain measure of control that had been initiated in the caretaker government a couple of months back. What needs to be done now under the current scenario or the situations to prevent such crowds from continuing power pilferage and theft?
Well, for that we need to understand two relationships basically. First is that power tariff and electricity theft, they have a non-linear sort of relationship. When power tariff increases, it sort of incentivizes power theft, because now it would have some sort of economic, socio-economic consequences. So we need to sort of understand this relationship and build this sweet balance between power tariffs and revenue collection. I call it as power sector's Laffer curve, which means that when tariff increases, the revenue increases, but at a certain time when it crosses that point, tariff increase causes revenue to decrease in terms of increased electricity theft and incentivizing electricity theft. Second is that law and order and revenue collection in electricity sector, given the circumstances of Pakistan, particularly in areas of merged districts of KPK and interior Sindh, Balochistan, that is positive relationship between law and order situation. As law and order situation worsens, the revenue collected from electricity, it decreases. So these are two relationships we need to sort of have integrated sort of policy. On one hand, we are rationalizing, we are using price signals, tariffs, right, so that it incentivizes those who are paying bill, not incentivizing those who are not paying bill. Second, how we can sort of manage law and order situation, not with the help of security agencies, but with the good governance of distribution companies, so that we can curb these line losses, these electricity thefts. So we need to have these two-pronged policies, two-pronged initiatives. First, starting from the price signals, tariff reforms. Second, through good governance and sort of establishing the rule of law and order in terms of distribution and transmission losses government.
Now, Dr. Khalid, also our federal minister talks about, there will be a significant reduction in electricity theft in a year. He says there will be work is being done in the spirit of jihad as far as this is concerned, and he says if the bills are recovered from all consumers, there could be a big reduction in electricity tariff as well. Do you feel one of the possible measures that could be taken in this regard is the installation of prepaid meters, because in this way the consumers will be able to use electricity only by paying the price of electricity in advance, like a mobile phone, like we do that? Do you feel this is a system that could work?
Well, this will work, and this should work, as many countries have installed this prepaid electricity meters. But one, it will costly, it will need investments, but that can be done. Second, again, the reforms at distribution sector, if we sort of move towards the liberalization of this sector, distribution companies are competing with each other for getting new consumers like the telecom companies you mentioned, then they would be investing in their distribution systems, and they would be sort of financing this prepaid meters or smart meters or AMIs. So this is the way that maybe government sort of retract itself from power sector as far as the distribution sector is concerned, give the private sector or give the efficient corporate sector a chance, so that we can sort of bring more and more investment and more liberalization, and then we can sort of promote a competition in electricity market, and then these reforms that you are talking about in terms of prepaid meters, in terms of smart meters, that can be introduced.
When you talk of pilferage, there is also the fact, as has been discussed by our Minister for Energy, that there are illegal transformers that have been set up across different provinces. How can we curb the installation of such transformers?
Well, this is directly related with law and order. Okay. I mean, this is the level of theft that cannot be managed by distribution companies. This is the highest level of, I would say, electricity theft. So what we need to do is we need to sort of bring more digital feeders, digital sort of infrastructure. One initiative was that there should be state of the art transformer system, so that electricity usage and bill recovery can be calculated at a source, and so that we can sort of eliminate this factor. So again, the elephant in the room would be the financial investment that would be required to introduce such reforms. But the installation of illegal transformers, I would say this is the height of electricity theft. This is the one thing that government should control through the law enforcement agencies. But for the electricity theft at residential sector, that should be done through distribution companies.
All right, I'd like to add a little bit to that. Now, the Federal Minister says that he has also requested all the provinces to stop the power theft, but we also see in certain regions, in certain provinces, that the political elite of that province go to the discos, reinstate the electricity supply to the areas where the people have not been paying their bills and have been using illegal means to obtain electricity, like through kundas. How important is the role of the provincial governments to increase bill recovery, and how do you feel they could what measures need to be taken so that everybody could be made part of efficiently increasing system of paying the bills of electricity or even the gas, so that the electricity could be provided to all these areas? Because this is what the discourse say, that they do not provide electricity to certain areas where the people do not pay their bills and people use illegal means to obtain electricity.
Well, this is the prime example of rule versus discretion. I mean, this is the discretion of political government, that they see that they can build political capital out of it, but they neglect the rule, and this will not only hurt Pakistan in long term, but specifically those areas in long term as well. So federal government should sort of start this drive, as Finance Minister on the floor of the House called for national pacts with provincial government, particularly on these topics. So we need to sort of have this charter of economy, energy and environment, because these three issues, they do not know provincial boundaries. So we need to sort of initiate these reforms, bring stakeholders on one table, maybe initiating constitutional bodies like Council of Common Interest, so that we can sort of kickstart this debate that some issues they are bigger than the political capital in Pakistan, and we sort of start this charter of energy so that we can not only reduce circular debt, we can bring reforms. So provincial government, as far as the electricity theft and electricity losses are concerned, they have a key role to play in short to medium term. For the longer term, Pakistani citizens, Pakistani politicians, stakeholders, they need to realize that this is a long term issue, this will take time, but if we start to bring more sort of reformative measures in short term, then it will be resolved in long term, unless we would be continue at this sort of journey. Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the National Uniform Tariff Framework. Do you feel a tariff scheme such as this could be transformed to reflect the true cost of electricity?
Pakistan's National Uniform Tariff Scheme, it is sort of inherently flawed. I mean, if you see that PESCO has the highest ratio of non-recovery of bills, and ISCO, GEPCO, FESCO and some other discos, they have less ratio of non-recovery of bill. But what is happening here is the consumers of ISCO, FESCO and good performing discos, they are sort of cross-subsidizing those who are not paying bills. So if there is some sort of a heterogeneous sort of tariff introduced in a country where true cost of electricity, which include distribution losses of a disco introduced in Pakistan, that would sort of send the good signals, and then coupled with distribution reforms in terms of structural sort of measures like introducing corporate principles, privatizing, liberalizing, bringing more competition to the distribution sector, that will sort of reduce this dilemma of Pakistan, that on one hand electricity is getting expensive, and on the other hand non-recovery of bill is getting more and more. So we need to sort of have this integrated approach coupled with tariff reforms, coupled with distribution transmission reforms, and then we can sort of bring more and more investments coming into our system so that we can invest on these smart meters, these new technologies and state-of-the-art transformers so that we can curb these losses.
All right, in April this year, our same Federal Minister for Power, Laghari Sahab, had issued instructions for immediate and stringent measures to combat ongoing issue of electricity theft across Pakistan. He had, talked about a deadline of 23rd of April to completely eliminate all kinds of electricity theft from the country's power grid. He had, tasked all the DISCOs, chairmen and CEOs with also mobilizing their resources effectively in order to effectively end the electricity theft. He had also instructed the superintendent engineers, executive engineers, subdivision officers and all the staff to issue certificates verifying the absence of theft in their respective operational areas. He had also directed amendments in existing laws to ensure severe penalties for employees found complicit in electricity theft. We are now in the month of June. Has any progress been made? Have you seen something?
There is a significant measures that have been taken by this government, even in the last caretaker setup as well. But what I see is, I see a combination of carrot and stick approaches, where carrot is that you are incentivizing those who are paying bill regularly, and stick is that you are introducing more stringent and strict sort of measures in terms of curbing electricity theft. Second aspect of that is that introduce these stick approaches at distribution companies level, punish those who are not sort of getting the target of this revenue recovery or bill recovery. If we link the incentives of distribution companies employees, CEOs and their directors with performance-based sort of system, that will sort of reform this sector. So introducing corporate principles, introducing reformative measures for the consumers and for the employees of distribution companies, that would be the key for Pakistan and Pakistan's energy sector. So I would say a combination of carrot and stick approaches, that is vital for Pakistan.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Khalid Waleed, the energy expert, who have joined us. I think this was completely up your alley, because there are so many things that we need to work in consensus in order to stop electricity pilferage, electricity theft. This has been going on. This is nothing new. It has been going on since decades. But the thing is, now is the time to end it before it causes an issue beyond control for our government, federal or provincial. And I think all governments are in tandem as far as, working towards some kind of a tangible solution that could work long term, not just short term. Thank you very much to have joined us, Dr. Khalid, and we hope to see more of you in the coming days as well. Let's come to our three stories, ladies and gentlemen. The first concerns China. The Chinese lunar mission is to return to Earth with samples of rocks, of soil from the dark side of the moon. It's very philosophical or poetic to say the dark side of the moon, but in fact there is a dark side of the moon that people do not know much of, even the scientists do not know much of. So they want to understand what happens on the dark side of the moon, and for this Chinese have taken the lead. Beijing has sent this aircraft. It is expected to return to Earth today, which will be capping a mission that has been of a duration of around 53 days or more, which is a world first. So the Chinese are leading as far as such an expedition is concerned. The materials that will be brought from the far side of the moon, which includes soil samples, rocks, will help us better understand how the moon was formed and how it has evolved over time. It will make us better understand the whole functioning of the solar system and the Earth's relationship with the moon as well. Now, China's Chang'e 6 had blasted off from a space center on the island province of Hainan on the 9th of May this year, and had descended into the moon's immense South Pole Aitken basin almost exactly a month later. It used a drill and a robotic arm to scoop up samples, snapped some shots of the postmarked surface and planted a Chinese flag on the grey soil. Now, on the 4th of June, the probe made the first ever successful launch from the far side, in which Chinese news agency Xinhua said that it was an unprecedented feat in human lunar exploration history. China's space agency has said on a social media post on Friday it was 70% that it was on the way back on Earth. Now, it has built a space station, landed robotic rovers on Mars and the Moon, and has become only the third country to send astronauts into orbit. China also aims to send a crewed mission to the Moon by the year 2030 and plans to eventually build a base on the lunar surface. The United States of America also plans to put astronauts back on the Moon by the year 2026 with the Artemis 3 mission. So a lot of things are happening as far as space exploration is concerned, and as far as the far side of the Moon is concerned. We'll be getting to know in the coming weeks more details about what that entails, about what kind of discoveries have been made through the soils and the rocks that have been brought back to Earth. Now comes Julian Assange. We all remember WikiLeaks. We all remember the startling disclosures that were made through WikiLeaks from different countries, secrets that were not declared or stated were told to the entire world through these WikiLeaks. Now, Julian Assange, the head of WikiLeaks, has been released from prison yesterday. He has left the United Kingdom. This has been stated by WikiLeaks and also by certain other media agencies, as he reached a landmark plea deal with the US authorities that brought an end to his years-long legal drama. He has been detained in Britain for the last 5 years as he fought extradition to the US, which sought to prosecute him for revealing military secrets. He has agreed to plead guilty on a single count of conspiracy to obtain and disseminate national defense information, according to a document filed in courts in the Northern Mariana Islands in the Pacific. He is scheduled to appear in the US territory tomorrow, that is Wednesday morning local time. So let's see how all of that will bode for Julian Assange, whether he will eventually be freed or whether he will have to face more prison term as well. Finally, the first child to have epilepsy device fitted in his brain has had a huge reduction in seizures. This teenage boy, 13 years of age now, has had the device fitted at the world leading children's hospital, Great Ormond Street. We all know what epilepsy is. We get seizures, they are uncontrollable. It causes damage to the brain and of course physical damage if there is nobody else present while the seizures happen, and if the boy is not properly taken care of by the family or by medical authorities. Now, Oren Nolson, who is now 13 years of age, has had a neurostimulator fitted into his brain in October of 2023 and has since had an 80% reduction in the number of seizures that he has seen each day. The device is mounted on his skull. It is attached to electrodes that are inserted deep inside his brain. This is the first British trial of its kind. Now, prior to the surgery, he had been experiencing seizures every day since his 3rd birthday, which had often led him to be needing life-saving resuscitation. But now, since this instrument has been installed, this young boy can lead more or less a more regular and a more normal life. Let's see how that also makes the use of such instruments more readily available for young men, women, and even older men and women to control their seizures effectively and to lead normal lives. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new stories and segments that pertain to you, us in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.